Hello, and welcome to Come Play With Us, a spooky storytelling podcast. My name is Leela, and I'm joined by my evil twin,
Ruby. We're actually both the evil twin. We're both writers with non-writer day jobs. We believe in the power of great storytelling, so we've invited guests with the challenge of weaving a tale about real-life hauntings and paranormal activities with the sole purpose of scaring the shit out of us.
We'll rate them to see how they've done. Our ratings go a little something like this: scared shitless, some chills, and I think I'll be able to sleep tonight.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening in. Today's guest is our friend Ben. Want to say hi, Ben?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How's it going?
Not bad. Pretty good.
And before we start, we set the scene. So I pulled my curtains to make it semi-dark. I have only one lamp on, but it's darker than it feels. And
as per Ruby's request, I closed the blinds further and turned off my lamp to try to match her vibe, but there's no getting as dark as her room right now.
No.
I get it so dark in here. I feel like if I can see your faces, you're not doing it right.
You don't have to go as dark as makes sense.
I have to get it super dark in here for me to get scared.
Yeah, my black candle burning in the background is contribution enough.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. And the black matching mug, which I think I saw a black cat on there.
A wolf.
It's a wolf. Okay, well,
Yeah.
okay, that can be scary, but I guess not. I ruined
The
it.
Grim.
Oh, okay. So
There we go.
Going.
Got some Harry Potter going on.
I forgot to research the story, but luckily I have one right here.
Oh.
Whoa, wow. Lucky us.
No, so originally, when I was researching different story ideas, I wanted to find something out of Iowa, where I grew up. I ended up investigating the story further because I thought the name The Black Angel was kind of rad and foreboding. Little did I know the story was tied into integral characters in American history, both in Iowa, as well as like dark connections in New York history. So it's oddly connected to all of us.
Good.
Okay.
Take us away to Iowa.
All right. To the
Never
magical
been.
land of Iowa.
That I still think is a magical land of make-believe because I don't know if it fully does exist, but we'll find out.
Allegedly, Iowa exists. Have either of you heard of the Black Angel statue before?
No.
No, but it sounds terrifying.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, it turns out that it's located a 5-minute drive away from the Pottawatomie County Jail in Council Bluffs, Iowa, Leela.
And
Leela.
If our listeners remember, that's an earlier episode. That was the Squirrel Cage Jail at Pottawatomie.
Yeah, at the time of this recording, I think it was like 2 episodes ago.
Probably.
I just heard it.
We don't know when we're putting these out.
It's all chaos. It's all chaos.
The squirrel, it was full of haunted squirrels. Was that it?
Yeah,
that's correct.
Ruby.
It was just a jail full of nuts.
Yeah.
Why is that so funny to me? Wow, you're right, Ben. Everything does kind of come like circular.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. I didn't realize how close it was, and then I was going in, listening to more podcast episodes, and I was like, no way. No way. But the Black Angel statue was originally known as the Ruth Ann Dodge Memorial. So Ruth Ann Dodge was born in 1833 and died 1916, just for a bit of reference. Mm-hmm. She was known as a bit of a badass, though. Not only did she play piano, write poetry, and love music and art, but she wasn't afraid to speak her mind either. Yeah. She was a passionate supporter of women's suffrage. She even helped found the first public library in Council Bluffs. Unlike many women of her time, she was also talented at riding horses and shot a gun, as well as her husband, General Grenville M. Dodge, who was actually a major actor in American history.
She shot him?
General Dodge, yeah. She shot him dead.
Okay.
So, wait, what year was she born again?
1883, May 23rd, 1833.
1833. Okay, so then Iowa back then was still like
Wild
the
West.
Wild West. If it exists, then it was.
In a fantasy land of that, it was.
I mean, it was still
I-
like very like what's the word I'm looking for?
There were no
Unsettled?
suburbs.
Unsettled, yeah, because people were
Unsettled.
still moving out west in the mid late 1800s. I mean, like
Yeah, the Jordan Creek Mall wasn't set up yet. They had yet to establish that.
There wasn't a movie theater yet.
Yeah, the Cinemark wasn't fully constructed, but it was well on its way.
mhm.
This was definitely a while ago, but as I look at the dates and I kind of compare stuff, this is like their lives, especially General Dodge, I'll kind of go into a little bit, is pretty integrally tied with the Civil War.
Mm.
He was a big player in that. So if you think of that time period, that's
Yeah.
when this guy lived.
Well, we'll find out who he was fighting for or fighting
Yeah.
with.
General Dodge was considered the greatest railroad builder of all time. In 1866, he became the Union Pacific's chief engineer and a leading figure in the construction of the Transcontinental Railroad, working with Abraham Lincoln to establish the starting point in Council Bluffs, Iowa, putting it and Omaha, Nebraska on the map. I'm sure, Leela, from your research, you kind of realize, hand in hand, they're being right next to each other.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Ruby?
I exclaimed.
Oh, pause for audible gasp.
Exactly.
I have that written in here. Along with becoming a congressman for Iowa and playing an integral role in the Civil War, General Dodge helped shape America and the Midwest into what it is today. You may have heard of several places named after him, such as Fort Dodge, Dodge City, Camp Dodge. But I do want to draw the attention back to Ruth and the end of her life and what inspired the visage of the Black Angel statue.
Mm.
After General Dodge passed away in January of 1916, Ruth was due not too long after him. As her life was coming to a close, she had a series of recurring dreams. She stood upon a rocky shore, and an angel, both tall and beautiful, appeared through the mist in front of a small boat holding a basin of water. "Drink," she said. "I bring you a promise and a blessing." Ruth declined the offer, later telling her daughter, Anne, quote, "I felt unworthy, and it seemed to me it would be a presumption on my part to partake of something so wonderfully pure, so heavenly, so spiritual," end quote.
That's
The dream-
beautiful. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. The dream came a second night, but again, Ruth denied the angel. Finally, the dream came a third time, and Ruth accepted the gift and drank from the basin, saying she felt as if she'd been, quote, transformed into a new and glorious spiritual being. She drank the water of life, and it gave her immortality, according to her, but it wasn't long after that she passed away. So after the series of 3 dreams, she ended up drinking this water and passing away after having this kind of like transcendental dream experience.
Mm.
So based on this bizarre series of dreams, her daughters Ella and Anne commissioned the Ruth Ann Dodge Memorial in Fairview Cemetery in 1918, even though Ruth was actually buried with her husband 2 miles away in the Walnut Hill Cemetery. The bronze statue was designed and crafted to fit the specifications of the dream, including the angel standing in front of the boat, holding a basin of water that constantly drips out of the boat. Actually, let me stop there for a second. I want to share. I have just like an imager dump for you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I want to see. Wow, it's beautiful.
Ooh.
Yeah, really, really gorgeous looking statue. So
That's like
I know
really
the listeners can't see it, but it's a collection of different angles for the Black Angel statue, and the second image is Ruth herself.
Wow, she was
it's
beautiful.
basically this. So it's this angel with just like these giant wings, these giant thick wings, and then this beautiful flowing robe. And then in her right hand, she's cupping a basin, and her left hand is down, palm out. It's a very, very detailed statue.
Yeah, I've seen, in doing research, I saw a lot of different photos of it, and her right hand, I know you can't see it in a lot of these photos, but it's rubbed down, that green copper patina that you see over the rest of the angel, is worn down from people like holding the hand.
Did Audrey Munson pose for it?
She did. Are you familiar with her?
I am, and she had a very, very tragic life. I know.
That's basically the crux of the tragedy at the end. So this will all be so familiar to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Damn. I'm so glad that you already know about her then.
Yeah.
Did you talk about her in one of the other episodes?
No, it's just one of my wormholes that I get into, of course, and all of a sudden it's like Audrey Munson. It either always leads to the British royal family. 90s Bollywood, British royal family, or like Audrey Munson. Like, I don't know how it always happens that way, but all roads lead back to her.
Those three specifically.
They're very specific, and only those three things.
All roads lead to Audrey.
Yeah, it's
90s
interesting.
Bollywood.
Or 90s Bollywood, or the British royal family. But it's interesting to me because I know that I know that she still died from drinking of the water from the angel, but
and I think she was sick in general. She was on her deathbed, getting close to the end of her life.
It was like that the next step to the afterlife.
Yeah. But to me,
go ahead, Brie.
To me, it's so interesting that the daughters decided to still put the statue up because it was such a significant dream, but the water didn't necessarily end up helping her. Or maybe it was because they felt the angel had come to lead her to the afterlife, and maybe the water.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and then
she
maybe
was just
the water,
like a leader. She wasn't like a malevolent entity that like took their mother's life. She guided her mother.
And maybe the immortality just meant that she would be immortalized.
The way I see it is drinking of the water was her acceptance of the end of her life and moving on to whatever the next phase is.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Ruby?
Yeah, I mean, maybe she was fighting it, and maybe that's what it was, where she would reject the water because she just wasn't ready, but then finally she was, and she took it.
Isn't 3 like a spiritual number as well? Like the Holy Trinity and
tons of cultures. Yeah. Certainly Christianity.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I said she passed away.
Yeah.
So she died.
So she died.
She did.
When I was reading this, I think I came across this story or something that was basically, it had this that really beautiful quote of, in Ruth's words, she was transformed into a new and glorious spiritual being. And then the next sentence was, and later she passed away. Or no, I'm sorry. That the water of life gave her immortality, and then she passed away shortly after. And I was like, I have no idea why. That just string of words perfectly is just humorous. Yeah, you just, it's like really deadpan comedic timing.
Yeah, it is deadpan for sure.
So she died.
Yep.
So the water, she drank the water to give her immortality, and she died.
Didn't work.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
No work. But the bronze statue was designed and crafted to fit the specifications of the dream, of course, including the angel standing in front of the boat holding the basin of water that constantly drips out of the front. As the family was quite wealthy, the daughters commissioned the statue to be built by the world-class American sculptor Daniel Chester French. Have either of you heard of this name before?
No, that's a really cool.
Kind of sounds hilarious.
Yeah, that's a really cool name, because it's normally like Chesterfield or something, but they're like, let's add 2 fancy things to it. So it's Chester and French.
Chester French.
The way it's split up is 3. I don't know if Chester was his middle name, but this is how I see it written when I look it up. So Chester French. It's just more fun to say it quickly.
Yeah.
So you've definitely heard of his works. I just love that I get to connect these dots for you guys. This is so cool. He's done nearly 100 public pieces, but 2 of his most famous pieces are the Minuteman in Massachusetts, and that was built in 1875, and, of course, the Lincoln Memorial in 1920.
Oh, wow.
So, although French considers the Black Angel as probably one of his finest pieces,
It's
I
beautiful.
think that's a really cool touch.
Yeah, sorry, Lincoln.
So to properly describe the Black Angel, the waters that's been dripping from the basin over the years has created an unsettling red stain due to the copper that creates the illusion of like spilt blood on one side of the boat. I have one image that kind of captures this really clearly.
Yeah,
So
I'm
that's
looking
that
at
was
it.
on purpose.
No,
I
it's
I
like
don't
from
think
the
so.
copper.
I
Yeah, I'm
don't think
seeing
so. I think
it.
it's just
It's
Yeah,
like
I saw it in the
almost like it's like blood
images.
at her feet, almost.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it just creates kind of like a really spooky illusion that I don't imagine this was intended, because
Yeah.
that's more of like a morbid planning ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Unless,
there's a
unless,
photo of
unless Chester was a little weird
yeah,
like that.
he was a little off.
Yeah.
But there's the picture of the water dripping, and then there's another one where like I think the water shut off, and it's a little bit closer up of the basin, and without the water running, it's more of like a gold look where all the water has dried off. But it's I loved looking up images of this stuff. It was so wild.
Yeah, I mean, it is a beautiful piece of work.
Yeah, yeah. Now, there's plenty of stories over the years of odd things happening late at night. I know you guys are going to enjoy this. Kind of
Yes.
late at night at the cemetery regarding the statue. Some report that the statue's eyes will follow you around, or some people claim you'll see flames if you stare too long into them. And then other people say if you stare too long at it, you'll become cursed and meet an early demise.
Yeah.
I even read a story in just some random article that talked about some people say the statue would leave its stoop and fly at night.
Oh,
I mean, I like that idea.
imagine like you go to the cemetery late at night and the pedestal's empty, and then you just feel, and there's like the shadow that just passes over you. Whew.
Yeah, that'd be really, really cool. But to me, and Ruby, this is going to touch on your history knowledge, the real horror comes from the tragic life of the model who posed for the statue, Audrey Munson. Have you told Leela about Audrey?
Probably not.
I feel like I probably like texted you one time of like, oh, you should check this out. But
Yeah. So the photos of Audrey, does that look familiar at all to you, Leela? Have you ever seen this? Like,
No, but I saw
especially that second
she
pose?
has a kitty in her lap, which was amazing.
that was probably meant for you.
It was. It's also like one of her most popular photos.
Oh,
Maybe
I didn't know
for
that.
good reason.
Mm-hmm.
Could be due to the kitty. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I actually really like
Everyone
that photo
likes
because it's
cats.
like super candid.
Yeah, everyone likes cats.
But Audrey was America's first supermodel, known as Miss Manhattan and the American Venus, and was probably one of the most sculpted women ever. By the time she had posed for the Black Angel statue in 1918, she was at the peak of her career, being incredibly famous and controversial for many nude statues, and being one of the first American actresses to appear nude in a non-pornographic film.
Damn, girl.
Which movie?
I think it was called Purity.
Oh,
I could be
okay.
wrong, but I feel like that
One of
was
those
maybe
morality silent movies from back in the day.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been pre-code because it looks like her career was like in the teens. It looks like nude scenes, Purity, 1916 American Silent. So this is pre-code. Do you know anything about the code? The Hayes. It was Hayes, right, Lily?
Yeah.
The Hayes Code. Do you know anything about that, Ben?
Basically, the precursor to, or like the forerunner to the MPA ratings. I think the Hayes Code. It started like in the late 20s, but like it really took off in the 30s. So
yeah, it looks like it took off at 1930 to 1967.
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that detour, but go on.
No, it's good. It's good knowledge. So you said it was an American silent film?
Yeah, it's an American silent film. It was caused it to be banned and preached against in some towns.
Yeah,
Prudes.
I remember seeing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, there was all that, and that was kind of the peak of her career. And then things took like a really dark turn just a year later in 1919. So Munson lived with her mother in a boarding house in Manhattan, owned by Dr. Walter Wilkins. But it didn't take long for Dr. Wilkins to become obsessed with Audrey. So much so that he murdered his wife, Julia, so that he could be available for marriage once more.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Single. What's up?
Recently widowed.
This is like Snapped.
Recently.
This is like Snapped, but like Snapped is usually women, but this is like the man version of Snapped.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like there's alternatives to killing your wife.
Yeah, like divorce.
Yeah, it could be an option.
Doesn't work out anymore.
Yeah. Wild that he did that, but
yeah.
Understandably, Munson and her mother fled New York shortly after. Wilkins was tried, found guilty, and sentenced to the electric chair. But before the execution could be carried out, he hung himself in his prison cell.
Yeah.
Ever since then, things went south for Audrey. By 1920, she couldn't find work, modeling or acting anywhere. In November of that year, she was said to be working as a ticket taker in a dime museum, so kind of a huge fall from grace, so to speak. And then tragically, in May of 1922, she attempted to take her own life and failed by swallowing a solution of mercury bichloride.
Oh my God.
At the time, this stuff was like an over-the-counter disinfectant that was used for everything from protecting fur coats to exterminating red ants. However, it was so corrosive and toxic that it frequently caused accidental poisonings and was a selected method of suicide.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But 9 years later, on June 8th, 1931, Audrey Munson was committed to the St. Lawrence State Hospital for the Insane by her mother on her 40th birthday. So, girls, watch your back.
Jeez. That's coming up.
It's coming up. She remained there and a handful of other institutions being treated for depression and schizophrenia for 64 years in total, until she died at the age of 104 in 1996.
Damn, that's like yesterday.
Are you serious? I thought she had died like way long before.
No.
That's so sad. Wait, what year was this again?
1996 when she died at the age of 104.
We were alive then.
Oh, yeah,
that's insane.
Makes me mad when people like that pass away and then like, did anyone reach out and find out and talk to them?
I was telling my brother Luke about this story and kind of giving him a lot of the facts, and he was like, Leela and Ruby could have visited her.
I know.
Why do you have to say that?
And then, so kind of jumping back before her death, of course, tragically after her mother passed in 1958, she would receive no visitors for 25 years until her half-niece Darlene Bradley rediscovered her in 1984. But then to jump ahead again, when Audrey finally died, she was buried in an unmarked grave. And it wasn't until 20 years later, in 2016, when her family finally found her and installed a proper headstone.
Wow.
Yeah, it truly scares me that someone with such a large impact on American culture could just vanish like that and essentially be locked away for the remainder of their kind of, I think even at that time, unnaturally long life.
That's a very long life. And also she probably was suffering from some ill health because of the poisoning, if it's such a corrosive material.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought this was really interesting because I live in Philly now. You guys live in New York. I was raised in Iowa. And there's Kansas City is just south of Iowa, and that's also tied in with this one as well. But there was this piece, Day and Night, that were kind of this left and right bookend statues at Penn Station, the original Penn Station in Philly. There was 4 originals made. So the next photo down is a really zoomed in. You can see where that first photo, there's like the clock with the statue on the right and left, and then the
Mhm.
next one, that's one of the originals. It was rescued from a New Jersey landfill. This was
That's
Wow.
crazy.
this was night. Yeah, this was absolutely nuts. Credit to Luke for finding that really tiny note that it was rescued from a landfill. Um, that was really something. This is the Eagle Scout Memorial, so that's a better photo of what the full piece would have looked like. There's obviously they did something different than the Penn Station for the center element, but
Yeah,
pretty
and
nuts.
it is. It's very beautiful. She has these braids that are just been sculpted so beautifully.
Yeah,
Um, it looks like even the cloak has feathers on it. So that's the image that was rescued from a landfill, and then the Eagle Scout Memorial. Um,
Is the
it's
full thing, full
yeah, it's
version.
there on our right, but on the left, I'm assuming is Day, and she's more covered up, and she still has like a veil over her head. But
exactly.
they're very beautiful, and then there's two eagles on either side.
Yeah, and in Night, if I remember right, she's holding a drooping poppy. I don't
Mhm.
remember what the
Oh,
symbolism was about, but
maybe because
um,
of opium, kind of puts you to night night.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking.
yep, that's it. I have it right here.
That's
That's it.
exactly
It
it.
says make you go night night.
Yeah.
Because the opium make you go night night.
And in the one in Central Park, I work near that statue. So is she the one at
Yeah,
the very top or is she the one in the
she
middle?
is. Yep,
Oh,
that's her.
wow.
The
Damn.
USS Maine National Monument.
She's a gold statue. She has a
Yep.
armor and something in her
Is it
arm.
victory or
Yeah, and then there's like horses galloping from
Yeah.
her.
And then the last photo is just the Ruth Ann Dodge Memorial against Black Angel. That's my favorite photo because I just feel like the lighting is absurdly good.
Yeah, you can see her better too.
It's very dark, but not nighttime. It's right at that kind of twilight period, and it's just got this sort of like blue glow overlay as the sort of the sun maybe has just set, but there's still enough light bouncing off the atmosphere to illuminate it. It just looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
and she's just her face is so expressive.
Yeah, that's really something. Yeah, that's all. That's how it all ties together.
Cool.
That's it.
To me, I feel like what's so sad and kind of like creepy about all of this is that like the Black Angel came to Ruth Ann. The one that it brought the most misfortune to was like Audrey Munson, and like the immortality ended up going to Audrey Munson, even though people forgot her. Like we've been staring at her our entire lives. And I was just in Greece and I'm looking at stuff that's like thousands of years old, and people's faces are thousands of years old that were sculpted. And so what's so creepy to me is like she's the one that suffered after this statue was made, but also became immortal because these statues were made. If that makes sense. Is anyone?
It's a weird intertwining between her story that continued on well past the time where she even modeled for this Black Angel statue. Um, even though it was based on a dream of a different woman, the idea of this like immortality concept trailing Audrey, that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Um, yeah, it really feels like the statue is cursed. And I think that there's something really creepy about art and the how art immortalizes its subjects, for better or worse. And I feel like there's something creepy and unsettling about that.
We have to go to the statue.
I know. I was gonna say I want to actually see the statue.
And we have to do a seance.
If Iowa does exist, I will go and I'm gonna go and see the statue in this
Allegedly,
alleged
you can land in Des Moines, so
this alleged
Whoa.
land of make believe. All right.
Okay. So our ratings, as a reminder, are the least scary is I think I'll be able to sleep tonight. The medium is some chills. And the scariest is scared shitless. So, Ruby, do you want to go first? First, I can go first.
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I got some chills. I wasn't scared shitless, and I think I would be if there were witnesses that had seen statue not there, or if people had died looking into her eyes. So I think more of the terror aspect, but it doesn't take away from the fact that this is a very very tragic story, but in a very poetic and beautiful way. And it is something, like you said, it's so woven into the fabric of like our country. There's just so many layers to it. And where I got the chills is just the statue. Like I said, like what did it know back then, and what does it know now? And like, did it have a message for Ruth, or was the message actually for Audrey? And we don't know what Audrey saw before she died. We'll never know. I
Absolutely.
rambled.
My rating was some chills as well, because I wasn't scared shitless, but I do find statues really creepy. And I think objects in general that are like that are kind of anthropomorphized, that have sort of that human quality to them, they freak me out. I think all statues follow me wherever I go, much less this statue. So
Yeah, you get the uncanny valley with
yeah, and I think
statues.
also just the idea of the statue leaving its perch and and then coming back, and all the sadness and trauma behind the person who is the subject. I think all of that is very, very creepy and
Yeah.
tragic. And the fact that his name is Chester French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Well,
Thank
thank you so
you.
much for sharing your story, and we hope to have you back very soon.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you giving me the time to tell the story.
Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like to get in touch, you can reach us at podcomplaywithus@gmail.com.
We'd love to hear from our listeners. So if you have real life ghost stories or paranormal encounters and you think it'll scare the shit out of us, please send them in. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.